One of the most popular stories about XRP has always been that Ripple will replace Swift and use XRP to power the global economy. This is a lot like how Ripple transfers work, where XRP is basically the bridge currency. That sounds crazy and weird to a lot of people. But also when we look closely at the XRP group. The idea that Ripple has been around since the beginning and has always been more linked than you can imagine is another big idea we in #039V tossed around. Now, in this video, I want to talk about how almost all of that is true and how Ripple and XRP could each be worth more than $1 trillion. That being said, welcome to the channel, everyone. If this video is your first time on the channel, I hope you decide to join by the end. So let in #039S go back to February of last year. This was shared by Emi Yoshikawa from Ripple. She used to be the VP of Strategic Initiatives at Ripple. It was a quote from Marty Malmi, who worked as a Bitcoin developer from 2009 to 2011. It is interesting to read Satoshi and #039's thoughts on Ripple and Ripple Pay, an idea that was first put forward by Ryan Fugger and later added to the XRP system. To learn more about Ripple Pay, click here. Yes, she does link to a movie. It doesn't in #039T really matter, so I in #039 am not going to open the movie in this video. But if we look into this, we have. Do you know what Ripple is? Ripple is different from other trust systems because it spreads trust instead of gathering it in one place. At least 4 other people have asked me, have you heard of Ripple? Another interesting thing about Ripple is that it and #039's the only other system that does something with trust besides putting it all on one computer. Once more, Satoshi signed it. I and #039 am now going to talk about this. Because Bitcoin has been the main center of crypto for the last, well, I shouldn't and #039T say last, but for most of that time. And even more lately, I think there has been a big marketing push for Bitcoin with people like Michael Saylor. And all this talk about how Bitcoin is going to make institutions accept Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going away. It and #039's really getting in the way for me. This is being brought up now because over here there is a video shared by Digital Asset Investor that has David Strydzewski in it. I really hope I and #039 am saying that name right. If this name sounds familiar, it and #039s because it and #039s the same person who said that Bank of America actually does all of their internal deals with XRP. Don and #039T know what and #039s true about that. We Don and #039T have any proof of that, but he did talk about it on, I think it was Fox Business. Go ahead. Still, we have this. Did David just say the quiet part out loud? It not Bitcoin at all. I Don and #039T do interviews very often, but when I do, it and #039s with the person who knows what and #039s been going on behind the scenes with GitHub and Bank of America. A talk with David is now going to happen. From what we can see here, that will be put on the DeJoy Set Investors YouTube account. But watch this movie, it and #039s very important. There are some coins I believe I will make a lot more money in and that will be even more important in the future. Because, you see, the only thing we know for sure about Bitcoin is that it can and #039T do business quickly. So, because it can and #039T move quickly, this top asset class, the number one asset class in crypto, ISN and #039T a great, quick way to exchange money right now. I believe there is a chance for new leadership to step in. These are the places where a lot of the discussions about Ethereum and Ripple happen. You should know that we now have a new Ethereum ETF. But the price hasn't and #039T gone up as quickly before. We are looking at brand new ETFs for Ripple. Now this is interesting because if you pay attention for a moment, you and #039LL see that many of these banks and their CEOs were criticizing Ripple and crypto in general, while behind the scenes they were making their own coins and getting ready for what is probably happening right now. There will be a banking challenge, and then we and #039LL switch to this system. It would be great to not have to do things in a crisis, but remember the old saying, Don and #039T waste a good crisis, and it looks like that and #039's been the plan for decades, but especially in the last 4 or 5 years. What he says is pretty interesting, right? For example, Don and hashtag 039, T waste a problem. And it feels like we in hashtag 039, rebuilding up to that big bang moment when, yes, our finances are going to crash and they're in hashtag 039, no way to stop it. It and hashtag 039, almost impossible to avoid. Listen, you Don and hashtag 039, T need to be a rocket scientist. You Don and hashtag 039, T need to be a skilled analyst or anything. This system is flawed, and you Don and hashtag 039, T need to know much about money to notice it. Check out how much homes are worth. Check out how much food costs. Just think about how much daily life costs. If we keep going in this unstable direction, we in hashtag 039, LL eventually hit a wall and something will happen that will lead to them completely rearranging the financial system using cutting-edge technology. The story about AI is getting longer every day. To use AI on a large scale, blockchain is the best way to do it. When we talk about anything, not just new technology, we always go back and say, okay, well, all the documents include blockchain, There is always talk about crypto when it comes to this, next wave of technology. But it also means we have to talk about Ripple because we need to, and Ripple is the company we should be paying attention to around here too. It seems likely that the US will see this as a quick dollar that can be used for a lot of different things. XRP is the price of that. Once more, this is from David. The most important thing I want to say is that this looks like David, who is the CEO of Sound Planning Group. Maybe I in hashtag 039 am the only one who can see this. I could be seeing this in a slightly different way, but it sounds like he in hashtag 039 is trying to jack up the price of XRP. I haven't in hashtag 039 T talked to the guy or know him. But it seems strange that this guy just showed up and started talking about XRP, Ripple, and other similar things. Now, I really like the information he in hashtag 039 is giving me. Also, I think he in hashtag 039 is totally right about this. Even though he in hashtag 039 is trying to sell XRP, we can in hashtag 039 T forget that Ripple just met with Trump, right? Stephen Adderati and Brad Garlinghouse met with Donald Trump. It said, strong start to 2025, It does make sense if we watch this video clip along with what I in hashtag 039 am about to show you. Pay close attention. We are interested in Ripple as a business. It seems likely that the US will see this as a quick way to send and receive money and do many other things. People who are interested can keep an eye on that with XRP. Okay, we have to end it there because there are still questions about XRP, especially when you compare it to something like Bitcoin. But we have to end it there because we in hashtag 039 running out of time. We are interested in Ripple as a business. Okay, listen up, I think he in hashtag 039 is totally right here. I believe that Ripple and even XRP should get all the attention they deserve. So far, everyone has missed the mark. Aside from people who use XRP, almost everyone has missed a goal. People who use XRP have been yelling for years. XRP is the one. XRP is the one. Up until we broke over $1 and then over $2, no one paid attention to it. 3 is next on the list, then 4, and finally 5. It and hashtag 039, it's possible that people will finally understand what we and hashtag 039 V been talking about sometime between now and then. As I already said,